Hello, I'm Vinzer Flinn, and welcome back to the Book of Flinn, where tonight's episode is really putting me and Reigna to the test. You know why, the episode.
Hi, it's Reigna Flynn, and I'm sorry. I didn't remember when it was coming, but then I thought, ooh, is it the next one? And then anyway, I went and had a bowl, and then I watched it, so that really softened the blow a little bit. Yeah, I warned you. Victor is off on a whirlwind adventure, so we're on a mini vacation.
Yeah, Victor's out, he's on I guess what you call it, sort of a class trip for the week for March break, so he's off. He's off somewhere in the Outer Rim or somewhere, I don't even know where he is.
Yeah, I've got a location tag on him. Don't worry. We're good. Shall we start with a nice game of cat and mouse?
Yeah, let's do Clone Wars first. I guess I'll put this Buffy review off as long as possible.
Okay, I'll talk really slow.
You know, if we get to the Buffy part and it's like, well, we're back a month later, it's because I fled.
I'll try to do my best, people.
All right, hit it.
Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse. A wise leader knows when to follow. So with this and the title, my prediction is someone is hunting someone else and is forced to listen to others for an answer. But that prediction was boring, so I hope it's Grievous learning to listen to the future heroes of the episode, Harry and Marv. Alas. Recap is Separatists are blocking the Republic access to Christophsis. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so. And Christophsis in the Outer Rim, we've been here before. This was where the Battle of Christophsis took place. And this is like a crystalline spire and forest planet. It's very pretty.
Cool. Bail Organa, not Senator Smith's, and his...
You're going to call him Senator Smith's.
I'm going to try to use their name. I'm going to try. His team are trapped on a planet doing relief aid, and Skywalker, for some reason, they ran out of Jedi. He's leading a task force to break through the blockade and provide aid to Organa's team on the surface while the Separatists are approaching on the surface.
Why is Bail sent on this job anyway? Like, shouldn't he be doing Senate work at the Senate?
Shouldn't he be senating?
Yeah, really.
On the surface, Organa is freaking out. He's like, we're out of food, we're out of water, and I really need your help. And then, because he's talking to Skywalker, and I looked up his name so I didn't have to ask you yet again, Wolf Yularen.
Yes.
But I'm just going to call him Admiral Cleese the entire time because the resemblance is uncanny. He's talking to them over a holo call, and he's just like, we've been overrun. Cuts out. And then Skywalker proceeds to say, and you walked out during this part, the most obnoxious way to say senator possible. He was like, Senator Organa. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Senator. And I'm like, that's Minotaur. That's how that's pronounced. Are you going to just do Senator next or something? It was...
Senator, we have a Minotaur on sensors. Yeah, I noticed the Senator thing too. I know that you had mentioned it, but even if you hadn't, I would have been like, why is he saying it like that? Stop being weird, Anakin.
Yeah, stop being Tuvok. Sensors.
Tuvok can get away with it. He's cool. I think Tuvok does that to troll the humans.
But I noticed it, like, even Worf does it. I'm starting to notice it now that it's stuck out. I don't like it. I don't like that this is a window glass shattering moment for me and I can't take it back. Anyways, what are we watching? Right, Clone Troopers. So, speaking of, one of the Clone Troopers announces that one of the cruisers has taken damage while it starts exploding in the background. And Skywalker's like, where's Kenobi? He's just cranky. He hasn't shown up yet. At the command ship that's painted like a sparrow, it's odd. There's a bipedal man-sized sloth spider stroking his fuzzy tusk fangs, and I hate all of it.
This is Admiral Trench, who's the species name, I looked it up, is a harch, and he's a key naval commander in the separatist movement, and he's known for surviving things that should have killed him. And he's voiced by, I looked this up too because I was curious, he's voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who does all the clones voice. He does, like, this guy's everywhere.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I actually went and looked it up because there was something about something he said at one point that reminded me of a different voice I had heard elsewhere. So I was like, okay, I got to find out who this guy is.
Something about it.
Yeah. It's funny what he sounded like to me. I definitely don't think, because it doesn't sound like he did any live action stuff. But he sounded like a character from Charmed, actually, when he got really enraged, when the Tusk Man got enraged.
That's a deep old cut right there.
Yeah. So the fuzzy tusk fang stroking is continuing while he's barking orders at his crew. That really bothered me. They didn't look too much like a mustache enough for him to be able to do that without it being weird. On the cruiser, a clone trooper is reporting that one of the supply ships has taken fire, and Skywalker decides to play chicken with an entire cruiser. He's about to start charging forward, and then Skywalker notices that Kenobi shows up on his own cruiser. So on the new cruiser, Kenobi and Cody are assessing the situation, and he's like, I specifically told him not to go in and start a battle. But apparently they're mid-battle, and they're in a mess because Gloomwalker jumped the gun. Shocker.
Why would they even let him go anywhere unattended? I mean, come on.
No. Unless they're sending in Ahsoka to monitor him, which he's not going to listen to anyways, let's be honest. Also, where's your Padawan, Gloomy? Where's she been? What?
Yeah,
Okay,
I feel like we haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, I know, because I haven't had, like, anybody to really... I've been really enjoying, like, rooting for Ahsoka and really putting my power behind her when she's on the show. But I haven't been able to do that lately. On the Separatist Sparrow, which is what I call it until I figure out whose ship this is, my least favorite droid line is here. The middle management monkey droids. Yeah. Yay. He reports that Gloomwalker's ship isn't slowing, but Captain Spider Sloth isn't bothered. Did you know, were we supposed to know who this guy was at this point? Or is this a reveal in the show?
I think this is the first time we've seen him. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, because Gloomwalker actually points out, he goes, whoever's doing this. So it seems like there's an air of mystery around who Spider Sloth is here. On Gloomy's ship, Kenobi phones in with his best disappointed dad impression. Asking Gloomwalker to be like, get out of this immediately. You come home with your friends right now. And Kenobi's like, do that. And Gloomwalker is, I don't want to. Admiral Cleese implores Gloomy to regroup, and after some thought, he's like, all right, fine, let's go onto the dark side of the moon. And he starts talking about how he doesn't like Kenobi's plan, but he's talking about Kenobi like he isn't standing there in a holocall form right now. Like, I don't remember seeing end call. I was expecting Kenobi to be like, hi, this is still on. I'm still here.
I can hear you, you know.
Exactly.
You're grounded.
On the Separatist ship, as the fleet moves away, the Triple MD wants to pursue, but Captain Sloth Spider says no and orders a recharge of shields and weapons. And I hate the teeth pincers moving this way. It makes my teeth hurt.
Yeah.
And the clicking, it reminds me of the leader on Jar Jar's world.
Oh,
all the clicking that he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry and Marv live up to their name, and these bingo droids, they can't even imagine to carry out their duties without first clanging face first into each other.
That was gratuitous, but I enjoyed it.
I was very happy. I'm glad that they did me fan service on that one.
Yeah, that's definitely what it was.
On the dark side of the moon, Skywalker flies to Kenobi's ship and starts getting smart about his new weapon. What's this new weapon you have? And Kenobi's like, man, you almost walked into it, and reveals this stealth
You should have
ship.
let him.
I'm mad that they allowed the two droids to clang together, but not him to walk into the ship. Whatever.
Anakin getting bonged in the head would have been great.
Yep. The ship is shaped like a pointy matchstick. It's it's very odd. And it turns out that this is the first time that they're using it. So they're only guessing as to whether they are truly undetectable or not. Guess we'll find out.
Stealth tech isn't used very often in Star Wars. In old canon, the idea was the hardware was large and difficult to use. It's why you don't really see cloak ships like you do in Star Trek. It's pretty rare. Even old canon and new canon, it's a very rare thing.
And I'm watching this, and I pause, and I'm immediately like, wait. They're giving an experimental prototype to the lesser responsible Destructo twin. The guy who, I think, destroyed an entire ship as part of a plan in a previous episode, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. He spends ships like crazy. And putting aside the fact that these Star Destroyers take hundreds upon hundreds of crew people to run, and he's just playing with it like it's a game ship.
Yeah. I was blown away by their thought process on this. I was like, they couldn't find a single other person to do this.
Where's Fisho Fisto or somebody? Come on.
Exactly. Kenobi explains that this is only being used to fly emergency supplies down to the planet, not to engage the blockade in combat, so don't worry about those 8 torpedoes that you have.
Yeah, a lot of this could have been avoided if they just didn't arm that ship.
Because nothing would ever blow a stealth ship's cover faster than shoosting. Gloomwalker stomps away about being a delivery boy and literally crosses his arms and pouts.
Yeah.
Sir, you just got handed a prototype sweet ship. Like, shut up and enjoy it. I want this ship, by the way. I want this. I want to be invisible. You know, that's my number one goal.
Is this you asking you the DM from the Star Wars D&D? No. That's the last thing I need is you running around with a stealth ship.
Oh my gosh, I would just use it to be like, boop, hello.
Yeah, I just used to fuck with people.
Over at Skywalker's cruiser, I guess, Cleese is doing some investigative work to find out who they're up against, because something, I guess, in the battle strategy that the Spider Sloth used seemed familiar to Cleese, and he finds a Captain Spider Sloth head emblem. Cleese recognizes the captain and his identity as he pops up on the screen. I call him Captain for a while until I know his actual rank. And then he's like muttering, oh no, oh, this is impossible, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And then he hollow calls a clone trooper and tells Skywalker, hold up. And the fact that Admiral Cleese is pooping himself leads me to believe that this guy is seriously bad news. And in the ID picture, it's got a side profile of Captain Spider Sloth, and he has 6 sleeves, but he has the same emblem on all 6 sleeves. Dude, if you had 6 opportunities for badges, switch it up.
I got a discount on the printing.
He had 30 patches and didn't know how to use them.
It's like one of those North Korean generals who's got medals that go right down, like all the way down the front and down to the pants and everything. He's like, got him, I'm going to wear them.
On the cargo bay where the stealth ship is, Cleese catches up to Skywalker and says that because of something about this morning's battle seemed familiar, he dug into the identity of the Separatist ship captain. And it turns out it's Admiral Trench. Whoever. Apparently this guy was reported to have died in a previous battle, and it seems like this is even before Gloomy's time, like when Admiral Cleese was younger, I guess?
Yeah, it feels very pre-Clone Wars.
Yeah, and that would be why Cleese would recognize the tactics, but Gloomy wouldn't be familiar with him. They thought he was dead, and essentially warns Gloomy to not underestimate him or try anything stupid. You hear that, Gloomy? Don't do anything stupid. There's a quote not every captain goes down with his ship. And in Star Wars, this logic cannot apply to generals because Grievous, Gloomy, most of the Jedi should all be dead if this is their track records, the way that they blow through ships. If you were to go down with your ship, there should be a lot less Jedi kicking around.
Yeah, I can think of very few examples of people going down with their ship in Star Wars. I thought it was interesting to see Yularen doing so much in this episode. And he's a character that's been around forever in Star Wars, even the old canon. Like, I'm pretty sure he was in the room when episode 4 when Vader choked that guy out, and he's in the ISB episodes of Andor. Like, Yularen has been a staple of Star Wars Empire characters forever. So but he's always been sort of, the cool commander guy, but he's actually running around and doing shit in this episode, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Gloomwalker starts to get all pouty again at just being a delivery boy, and Cleese drops the bomb that, hey, I'm coming with you, by the way. And I never thought I would see the day where Cleese actually volunteered for more time with Skywalker.
The quote of the episode is, a wise leader knows when to follow, and it's like, a wise leader knows when not to leave Anakin Skywalker unattended on a stealth ship.
That's really his motivation. He was just like, I'm not leaving him on a prototype.
A wise leader knows when to follow Anakin into trouble and keep him straight and narrow. For all the good it did.
And just as the ship's doors close, CT-1284, aka Spark, a rookie clone trooper, jumps onto the ship, and he's there to replace somebody that Skywalker got blown up last time. I mean, someone they lost before, but probably that. And this is also a good reminder to everybody listening at your job right now that no matter how valuable you are at your job, they will replace you in a heartbeat.
Especially if you work for a corpo.
Exactly. This senior clone trooper, I don't know if this is like a light hazing or something, but he's kind of being a dick to the rookie when he sits down with him. He's just like, you sit right here, so I'm going to keep an eye on you and make sure you're worth it. I'm like, whoa, okay.
That seemed kind of normal to me, honestly.
I don't know. I didn't like it. The space shiv launches and quickly vanishes from sight. And then they proceed to fly within a fruit fly's ass width away from the ship.
Yularen's like, someone's going to look out the fucking window and see us. Like, there's going to be a guy washing his hands in the bathroom going, what the fuck?
Wow.
The two droids, did you see that? No, and neither did you.
You want to keep your head on. But why? Like, he's so close that there are proximity alarms that'll probably start popping off.
It seemed like a stupid risk.
Bump into the command ship, and then no sooner do I hit play after typing this, Cleese is like, hello, exact same point. And all Skywalker has to say is, well, you wanted to come on this ride. Jerk. Anyway, on the Separatist ship, they're wondering why the Republic haven't approached the blockade again, and the Triple MD reports that the resistance is crumbling on the surface, and it should be over in the next 13 hours. He said half a rotation, but Christophsis also has a 26-hour day. Admiral Trench wants battle with Republic cruisers, so he turns up the heat by deploying Hyena bombers to the surface to go and bomb where Organa is right now.
Oh yeah, it was interesting. I think that's the first time they've referred to them as that, because these are vulture droids, which are like early kind of TIE fighter precursors, but they're all droids, so they fly themselves. And they were in episode 1, and they sort of walk around on stilty legs and then transform. Yeah. They're really creepy.
The multiverse Cylons really freaked me out here. Did not like these guys at all, because it was the walking where they're like doo 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 doo, and then they fly off, and I'm like, no, absolutely nothing. Looking like you should walk like that. They can't tell if the bombers are for them, and Cleese is suggesting offensive action. Skywalker's like, all right, no, we're just gonna go quiet. And everybody waits in anticipation as they come closer, and I'm just waiting for a dong. But the bombers pass them so quickly that they deduce that, nope, nobody detected them. The ships are heading towards Organa's location, who is I thought this guy was in a bunker. He's basically on a rooftop patio right now.
I know, right? He's just out in the open. He might as well be wearing a sign that says "Bomb me."
Is it smart to have a command station be on a rooftop patio? I just don't get this, honestly.
Is it smart to send like the senator from a fucking completely different planet? Like if this was Alderaan, I could understand why Bale would be there, but why did they send? Again, I'm asking. Well, okay, you're an important senator from an important planet. Why don't you go deliver these supplies? They must be really short on people.
There's a video of the holo call, and Kenobi and them are watching it, and they see, "Help us, General Kenobi, you're our only hope," complete with the little hand moving to end the transmission. And I was like, ooh, I caught that.
Fan service.
And then immediately afterwards, we get Cleese going, "Trap." Kenobi orders Cody to call Skywalker, and I'm imagining Cody is like the dutiful cameraman with the holo call device, making sure he gets Kenobi's best angle, because he's like, all right, you got to call Skywalker, but then it's his full body in there, so you know that you've got Cody on like that selfie cell phone action right now.
He's like, hold the camera.
That's really why they're there, is to hold the camera for these holo calls. Gloomwalker tells Kenobi that it's a really bad plan to go after the ships approaching the surface while he goes after the blockade. Cleese doesn't even think this is a good idea either. And Kenobi snaps at Skywalker when he's like, "I don't think this is right, Master." And he's like, "I have enough problems without you becoming one of them."
Too late.
I actually thought that was a little out of line. I can't believe that I'm defending Gloomy, but he was more respectful when he was saying no than I've ever seen him when he was voicing concerns about this particular strategy Kenobi wanted to use.
Kenobi's a little on edge after all the Satine stuff. He's all frustrated.
Yeah, that's true. He did just go through that, I guess. And just as I'm defending Skywalker, I hit play and he announces an even worse plan. He's going to essentially blow their stealth ship's location cover by launching 4 torpedoes at the back, what I thought was going to be the back of Trench's ship. Because you think that would be the easiest to do, to blow up the ship, but...
Oh, I got fucking notes on that.
Honestly, I mean, I can see the logic, because you can hit him from the back end, but then all logic goes out the window when I realize where he actually aims. Gloomy and Kenobi continue to argue, and Gloomy pulls a Tony Stark and call.
Yeah, hang up on his ass.
Over on the Separatist ship, the Triple MD again states the obvious. It's literally like his only purpose is to say that the Republic is still behind the moon. Thanks, Tips, for the update. Admiral Trench cracks his riding crop? He's cracking this thing while he's pondering why they're not engaging. And up to this point, after I learned his name, I have refrained from making parallels with Admiral Trench and Miss Trunchbull from Matilda, but the riding crop was one step too far.
I have a feeling the idea here is they were trying to portray Trench as this, really cagey villain. Like when you go up against like a guy like Thrawn, a strategist, that ups the ante and makes the fight seem more high stakes. And I think that's what they were doing with Trench. But I think it goes back to like the whole General Patton thing where he's given the big address against the big, the American flag, and I think he's got one in his hand and he's using it. I think that's what they're trying to show an image of, is that he's got like that Patton style crop in his hand and he's being a really smart strategic leader. That's my take on it.
All I saw was the woman who swung a little girl around by her pigtails and threw her over a school, barely clearing an iron fence and landing in a nearby field. That's who I pictured for the rest of this episode. Miss Trunchbull, she was awesome. Anyways, back to this episode. On the stealth ship, I use quotes when I'm typing this for a little bit because their cover's about to be blown, so the stealth ship. Skywalker turns the ship around and points directly. What I thought was at the back, I was still convinced he was going to hit the engines at the back of the ship. Skywalker starts barking out orders, and Rookie's like, "I thought this was a relief op." The other clone trooper's like, well, when you're with Skywalker, you're always on the offensive.
Right? It's like, yeah, on Skywalker's crew, yeah, fucked.
Yeah. Why do you think? What do you think happened to the last guy that was sitting in your chair?
This drives me nuts too, the way he went about the attack, though. I'm like, why wouldn't you target the engines? If nothing else, you put them dead in the water and the Star Destroyers can pull them apart. Like, it's just, why are you shooting at the most shielded part of the fucking ship?
And then at best, you explode their engines, leading to a domino effect of blowing up the entire ship. Like, Skywalker is barking out orders. Cleese is concerned that their firepower might not be enough, but Skywalker wants the attention just diverted away from the planet and on him. But it's not just him in the ship. He seems to forget that. You've got an admiral on board.
Yeah, that's a risk all unto itself. If I was Yularen at this point, I'd be. I mean, this thing's probably packing some little size 1 friggin' torpedoes to begin with that won't kill a capital ship. You need a big gunship to take out a capital ship, especially if you're smaller than it. But if I'm Yularen, I'm like, all right, you're relieved from command, Skywalker. Get the hell out of that chair. Like, that's where I would have been.
Yep. So anyways, he fires at the bridge of the command ship, which is already really fortified because it's at the front of the ship where everybody else is shooting whenever they're engaging the ship anyways, so whatever. So this does absolutely nothing except make themselves a target. Go Skywalker! And Skywalker launches flares as he recloaks, which I get is actually a pretty smart move because it distracts the missiles that the Admiral Trench fired off right before. He also manages to dodge all the lasers that are coming at him and clear the area. So Skywalker got lucky is pretty much what I'm saying. Trench's ship has the triple MD going, we missed. And if this was Grievous's ship, you, sir, would already be without a head.
Yeah.
Trench notices how the flying matchstick gets away, and he deduces that only a Jedi could have successfully maneuvered through those lasers, and opens a channel just to the surrounding area to see if he can send a message out to the stealth ship. Spark, the rookie, notices an incoming message, and Skywalker, upon opening the message and seeing Trench, goes, hello, ugly. And his face mirrored mine upon seeing this guy for the first time. Ugh. Trench gives this weirdly admirable speech saying he's, I admire what you're trying to do, but I'm still going to focus on the people on the surface, so turn back while you can. But of course, he doesn't think that he's actually going to do that. Cleese picks up on the part where Trench says that he's dealt with ships like yours before, and you're not going to be lasting too long. So both him and Skywalker are like, wait, how has he seen this ship before? This is a prototype. We don't have any other cloaked ships. Trench's ship has a triple MD that's stating the obvious, and he doesn't think they'll turn back, but this isn't Trench's endgame. Trench's endgame really isn't super clear. I'm not sure what that is. Kenobi is there in a holo call confirming that he's dealt with cloaked ships in the past, and he takes them out with tracking torpedoes. Skywalker deduces that he might be tracking down through a magnetic signature and tells Kenobi to stay put until Skywalker has destroyed Trench, and Kenobi gives a full face palm. Might I remind you, this is not your mission. You might. Click.
Yularen doesn't even have a battle station. He's just standing around kind of bopping around in the cabin.
They decloak, fire again, immediately recloak, and the Trench is like, yes, let's start tracking them with their magnetic signature. And this is where I kind of start to remember Skywalker actually is a really, really smart kid as well. He was very smart as a child. He built C-3PO, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's very, very intelligent. And I sometimes forget that because he's usually too busy putting his foot in his mouth or having a tantrum.
Well, they so often bury Anakin's pilot expertise or his mechanical expertise under all the fucking bravado and arrogance and high daring do stuff, and it really does get buried a lot. So I do like seeing when they show that he does have skills other than leaping around like a lightsaber idiot.
Cleese is really apprehensive of Skywalker's plan, but Skywalker seems to be happy to be chased by 4 torpedoes that are locking onto their signature. He hauls into a U-turn and starts heading back to Trench's ship. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I can see where he's going with this. Skywalker smiles as he approaches, and then he basically gets within a fruit fly's a-hole close to the ship again, but this time with 4 torpedoes trailing him. Trench's face when he realizes Gloomy's plan and can do nothing to stop it, he just goes, and he's just resigned. Then they explode. And Kenobi is begrudgingly congratulating Skywalker on a job well done. And Skywalker's like, well, if you need me, I'll be delivering supplies on the surface, all snarky and cheeky and stuff. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, and just like, he used what is essentially, if he had been blown up, all the people on the surface would have been killed at best or gone without supplies. And, it's just such a risk to take.
Yeah. I could see about him going down, landing on the planet, like dropping off the supplies and then hauling ass and then dropping torpedoes, because then the supplies are delivered, but nothing's happening up top. So
does Yularen's Star Destroyer not have any fighters? How about launch fighters? Give them something to shoot at while you're going down to the surface.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they're like, okay, we're gonna hang back while you just slip past. Like, you think they would have, not knowing that it was undetectable unless you were looking for the magnetic signature, how they're like, maybe they should have provided a distraction.
Man, if I'm Yularen, I would have been like, make sure my ship is packed with fucking ARC 170s, like they're like kind of like a X-wing precursors, like a heavy fighter. Send out 10 of those. They'll keep them busy. Anakin will get down there.
Yeah. Skywalker lands on the surface and he's being thanked by Organa, while Spark is being congratulated on officially being part of the crew. You survived your first mission. Congratulations.
Yeah, your performance was adequate, but you survived, so you're promoted.
Exactly. Spark says thanks, but I'd be surprised if he was on his way to go clean out his armor.
He's applying for transfer.
I want to go back to the library. I want to do security at the library. Cleese tells Skywalker that he doesn't agree with his methods, but can't argue with the results. And Skywalker's like, hey, I like to do things differently from time to time. Cleese says that this is what the Chancellor told him, but don't worry, it's a compliment. So the Chancellor already seems to have his sights set on Skywalker. He's watching him really closely. Do we know if the Chancellor's had his eye on him to be like a successor this early on?
I think he's had his eye on him since he was a little boy in episode 1, because if you recall at the end of the movie, he says, we shall watch your career with great interest. I think he knew the Force potential in this kid, and he was gaming out how he could get Anakin on his side for years.
Okay, that makes sense. And this conversation of kind of like peace, a truce coming together between Cleese and Skywalker seems a little out of place, because they've already worked together on missions and it usually ends in arguments and stomped foot and just walking away and tut-tuts. So I'm a little surprised to see this. It wasn't bad, just a little surprised to see it.
I wonder if years later everyone just, sort of the public stories that Anakin Skywalker was dead, but like in episode 4, Vader's in the room and Yularen's in the room when he's force choking that guy. You got to think Yularen's got to put that shit together. Like there's got to be little tells about the way he speaks, even with the voice modulator and how he behaves and tactics and stuff. You got to think Yularen's knows, but he's just smart enough to keep his mouth shut, because he's like in the ISB and stuff like that. He's a smart enough guy, or maybe he even had access to the secret, but I feel like nobody knew. But I feel like he might have figured it out.
Well, considering the path that these two take, they probably do get along in the future.
If anything, Anakin / Vader would only be more reckless and more willing to spend troops. And I mean, he used to kill officers every other day by the time we get to Empire Strikes Back. So after a while, you'd think guys like Yularen be like, this guy's costing us men. Like, he's just reckless and dangerous.
That's how we recognize the Skywalker.
There you go.
He's
yeah.
like, I recognize this certain brutality towards its.
Seriously.
Yeah. So with closing thoughts, a wise leader knows when to follow was the quote. And I think this was about Cleese, but I think it was also about Skywalker, because Cleese is the leader the expert on Trench, and he's in charge of the army, the military force that they have. But Skywalker was the leader of the mission and had to listen to the wisdom of Cleese and heed his warnings. But I would like to see Skywalker, Yoda, and Chancellor play chess. I feel like it would be a wild watch, honestly, because they're all of their ability to see 5 steps ahead and to strategize would be something to admire, especially for Skywalker, because he's so young. So for him to be able to outplay a lot of the admirals and generals and everything like that is amazing to be able to see, because he can't rely on the same expertise and experience that Yoda or the Chancellor would have, because he's nowhere near as long-lived as them.
I would suggest that Anakin doesn't think that far ahead. I think he's just got such supreme confidence in his ability in the Force and flying and all that. I think he just sees the idea in the moment and then he just does it. I don't feel like he thought ahead before he left about all the ways that it would game out. I think he just leaps off the cliff and trusts himself to build the wings on the way down. I think that's the big difference between him and guys like Yoda or Yularen.
That's true. Yeah, because, I mean, impulsiveness has always been at the core of Skywalker's nature, even as he became Darth Vader. Especially if you're going to continue to force choke and kill just anybody who ticks you off. Impulsiveness is probably an issue that he's going to have all of his life. I would say Cleese is the other wise leader, because it's not Kenobi, because Kenobi was not having any of Skywalker in this episode at all. So I'd say my prediction was more or less accurate, but alas, no General Grievous. No Mr. Wake and Bake. And I had a fun fact here at the end about D. Bradley Baker, and I can still say some of my fun facts. Not only is he the Clone Trooper voices, but he did he's been in Happy Feet. He was in the Star Wars parody of Family Guy as Admiral Akbar. And he was Hammond from Overwatch.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
He does a whole bunch of voice acting for video games, but Hammond from Overwatch stood out to me.
Well, that means, well, wait, does he do the actual hamster sounds of Hammond, or does he do his mech's voice? Because they are two very different things.
It says specifically Hammond, that hamster.
Because Hammond only makes little hamstery, chittery sounds, whereas his ball mech, he speaks for him. He doesn't say, I this, I that. He says, don't start, the hamster is eating. You know, he'll refer to him as the hamster.
Oh, maybe.
So I'm wondering if, because that one does speak in normal English. So I'll have to check that. But either way, that's great. I mean, I was playing Hammond earlier today. I had no idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool. I didn't find any crossover into Buffy. I did look, but nothing.
That's a cool one. I like that.
Yeah, I give this 3 Kenobi face palms out of 5. It wasn't bad, but the spider, stupid sloth thing stroking his tusks knocked this a full face palm down. It was. What'd you think?
Well, I always enjoy any Star Wars episode that does space battle stuff. That's peak Star Wars for me, is when they do some cool space battle stuff, and the stakes are pretty high, especially against a strategic villain like Trench or Thrawn, like I said. It completely annoys me that Anakin's ploy worked. It's very, very he had very much plot armor again, but it does add to his legend as a pilot in the Clone Wars, which is very much a part of Star Wars lore, old and new. Even in Episode 4, he says, "Your father was the best pilot in the galaxy." So we do need to actually see that stuff this time, as impossible as the situation allows. We do need to see that stuff happening with Anakin. So I was willing to give it a little more leeway. But I did enjoy this episode for the space stuff, and it introduces a cool villain and stuff. So yeah, I did like it. It was a little, I could poke holes in this episode all day, but you know what? It was all right. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed all the face palming. I got a screenshot of Kenobi doing that in the holocall.
I never mind Kenobi getting dissed and taken down a peg a little bit too,
Yeah, he's the pompous flirt.
He wasn't there because he's too busy checking Satine's Facebook and shit.
Does she miss me? Has she checked in?
Satine is marked safe from the Senate murders.
Is she still on Coruscant for some reason?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe she's back at his bachelor pad.
Showed up for booty call and he was gone. She's like, well, fuck him then.
Padme's like, girl, I get it. It's okay. They're having a wine right now and commiserating over Jedi lovers who love them and leave them.
You think after Padme became pregnant when she was attending these little hangouts with senators, and they're like, why aren't you drinking? Are you pregnant?
That's how I'm going to watch. I'm going to see if she sips on the celebratory champagnes as much in the later series.
Well, she finds out she's pregnant in episode 3, which is after all of the Clone Wars run. So if the deed happens somewhere in the Clone Wars run, it's going to be pretty late. It's going to be like season 6 or 7 or something. But we can keep an eye out for that. I've never actually looked into that.
Yeah, I don't want to look it up until the end.
More fun this way.
Yep. Well, babe, we can't put it off any longer. I know you're continuing to talk about this episode because you're trying to put it off.
Sound of Homer Simpson running outside, car starting, tires squealing. Yep, all right. Let's go. It's time. Let's just yeah, that's my brain to that whole episode. Hang on, I'm just gonna revive myself here. All right, we're good to go. All right, Buffy season 2, episode 16, titled "Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered." Prediction: we're gonna see a witch, and someone is going to get a crazy spell cast on them. And I was like, all right. This episode starts in the cemetery, and Buffy and Xander, they're just hanging out, and he's showing her a little heart locket and wonders, will Cordelia like it? And he actually says dating, so it feels like maybe now they're a bit more public. So Buffy promises never to stop making fun of him for dating her, though. Never.
I enjoy that he isn't going to Willow for something like this. He's actually recognizing that that's probably a boundary he should set, considering what Willow has said to him in the past, and he's going to Buffy about it because it's really the only other option, unless Giles is going to start giving him some solid feedback.
It shows Xander does have a bit of a survival instinct, knows Willow would be very upset. Xander does the gross guy thing where he's only dating one girl because the one he actually wants is unavailable, and he kind of alludes to that, and I'm just like, why would you say that? It basically says I'd leave her in a heartbeat if you nodded your head at me, and that's just gives me a greasy feeling.
It's not fair to Cordelia. Cordelia deserves better.
He says, I wish dating was like slaying, simple and direct, and then a guy in his burial suit pops right out of the grave they're hanging out by. And I'm like, well, were they expecting this guy to turn, or is this just a happy accident? Okay, so they were waiting around. They did, you think? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is the thing she'll do is you've seen her in the past, she'll sit on the gravestones and wait for vampires to show up if she knows that their death matches what she's looking for.
Okay, that does make sense to me. All right.
Yeah.
So there's a fight, and it's a pretty good fight. Like, even a newly created vampire is still a high-stakes fight. You know, it could go against her in any one of these fights, but he gets staked pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. She says, slaying is more dangerous than dating. And Xander says, you're obviously not dating Cordelia.
No, she was dating Angel.
I know, right? Like... All right, school and daytime. Cordelia is starting to get frozen out by the other snobby mean girls. And so what she predicted is coming to pass, that her rep is suffering for dating Xander, which again reinforces the idea that their dating is more in public.
Maybe it's because she's dressing like a teacher and not a 16-year-old. Like, what even are these outfits in this episode? There's like 2 outfits that I could see a 16-year-old, 17-year-old getting away with. These are not them.
Yeah, this is definitely a Joss Whedon episode here.
Ugh.
All right, we're in class, and it's hand in your assignment time, and I think it's Mrs. Beekman, the teacher's name.
Beekman, I think, yeah.
Right. She says, if you leave this room without giving me your assignment, you're going to fail. Xander's ready. He's like, no F for me, straight to a sweet D-.
I love that line. I don't even care.
When I was a kid in Ontario, we used letter grades, but in Nova Scotia, it was all out of 100, and any letter grading on the report cards was different. It's like a code key, and a letter might. It didn't mean A, B, C, or D. It just you might get a T or something, which might mean, parent teacher requested or something. So one of my close friends got one of those one year. I think it was 9th grade. It's like parent teacher requested. He immediately used a pen to change it to another letter. I don't remember what the letters were, but he changed it from parent teacher requested to satisfactory performance or something. I think he got caught about it, but as soon as he saw it, he changed it. And I was like, that's going to come back to bite you, man. So there is Amy, another blonde girl in class there. She asks if they're going to go to the Valentine's dance at the Bronze. And I'm like, oh, I hope they repaired all the damage from the last 2 episodes. Buffy says, go on, I know you want to say it. And Willow goes, my boyfriend's in the band. Now Buffy plays off Valentine's Day as the hallmark marketing ploy it is. And Amy says, oh, bad breakup, eh?
Believe me when I say, uh-huh.
Believe me, dear listener, that Reigna shares the same opinion on Valentine's Day I do. I'm not just some jerk that doesn't do it or anything. Yeah.
No, I remember our first discussion of Valentine's Day was literally, let's just stay home and order a pizza.
Yeah.
We can go out for discount candy the next day. It's a win-win to me.
Yep. Now, on the way out, Amy gives the teacher a long look, and the teacher says, thank you, and she acts like she's taking a paper in. So Amy just pulled some tricky magic here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, Amy's a witch, gotcha. But Xander sees it happen. They're walking around the hallway, and Buffy's not worried about Valentine's Day. She and Joyce are going to have a pig out and something fest instead. I didn't quite catch what it was, but it sounds better than normal Valentine's bullshit. Xander's like, did you see that? And they know Amy's mother is a witch. All right, it's okay. We're just establishing all this, quickly, get that out of the way.
Well, we've seen Amy before. She was in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't dwell a lot of time, but they just
No, I think that's why they had Oz look at the trophy in the last episode to start reminding us of who this person was by the time she came back around.
It's a clever little lead in. So yeah. So Giles appears. He says, may I have a word? And Buffy says, have a sentence even. And Giles does the sort of same reaction that he did to Xander's moon pie joke, not as forced, but he's just like, oh, yes, very good. Calendar steps into the hallway and the chill is in the air, and she asks to talk, but he refuses. And I'm like, I hope the gang doesn't have her for any classes right now. What does she teach again?
Computer science, so she would have Willow.
Yeah, at least that. So yeah, that'd be a tough class to be in after all that shit.
Yeah, she's heartbroken for Jenny.
In the library, Buffy asks if Giles is okay, but he's concerned about her. And he brings up Angel and his research into Angel's past doings. And apparently he likes to do dramatic displays on Valentine's Day. So Giles thinks she should stay off the streets. And that he'll patrol. And I think that's just as terrible idea. I'm like, Giles, stay home too.
Yeah, Buffy staying off the streets. Not a bad plan. Giles patrolling for her when Angelus has been known to want to go after all of her friends and family and kill them. Bad plan.
Yeah, if Buffy shouldn't be patrolling, nobody should be patrolling.
Lock down everybody who even knows her. Lock down the dentist, the doctor, the teacher, the principal Quark, even him. Nah, you'd be fine.
So over at the vampire lair, Spike gives Drusilla a nice gold necklace. He's still in the wheelchair. He's still recovering. Angel gives her an actual still warm heart that he dumps on the table. And he got it from a quaint little shop girl. And Spike is already so fucking sick of Angel. You can tell. It's great. So Angel's deciding what to do about Buffy. And Spike suggests some lung ripping out. But what rhymes with lungs in a poem? So, Spike's got a great turn of phrase. I love it.
Yeah, he really he's a poet and he doesn't know it.
I could listen to Spike Dog all day. He's great. So
Yeah.
that the bronze, they go right into the Valentine's Day. I thought there was going to be some sort of Valentine's bronze party towards the end, but no, we're doing it early, so keeping me on my toes. I love how the band is called Dingoes Ate My Baby, which was like a saying that was everywhere in the 90s back then. I remember from Seinfeld, Elaine said it to someone at a party. She's like, I can't find my fiance. And she goes, maybe dingoes ate your fiance. Like that. It was just a saying that was around. I don't know. So Oz is in the band. Willow is a gushing groupie.
Willow has the best choker. Her choker in this scene is so quintessential 90s because it's like that little single beaded with the little flowers. You know what I mean?
Cordelia is still being frozen out by her mean girlfriends. So meanwhile, Joyce and Buffy are vegging out at home. There's a knock on the door. And Joyce is suddenly missing from the living room. As Buffy goes to answer it, she looks for her, but Joyce comes from the back door with a box of red roses with a note that says, soon. Not at all creepy.
Why doesn't Joyce have more questions in this scene? Because I don't know about you, but if something showed up to my door to make my child's face look like that, best believe there's no one leaving the house until I'm at the bottom of that.
Yeah. Be like, who the fuck's sending you these roses anyway? What are you up to?
Yeah, exactly.
So back at the bronze, the 90s band is very 90s sounding, I must say. More flashbacks for me. Xander sees Cordelia sitting alone and unhappy, and it's weird that they're sitting apart for so long, but he goes over. She actually compliments his outfit, which has the lapels of a 70s coke dealer. Buffy dressed him, but not physically. He wishes. Xander's been thinking about the two of them. Perhaps it's more than teen lust. He's thinking about him and Cordelia, that is. But perhaps it's more than teen lust. Maybe they do see something in each other, and he gives her his present. And she seems quite touched by it. And then he immediately says, I want to break up, LOL.
I let Xander have this scene, honestly, because he didn't insult her and he didn't overreact. But I felt bad for him in this scene.
Who are we kidding? We don't fit. And I can just see Xander's soul slowly crushing on Valentine's Day, no less. He's rejecting his dad. Every guy's been there. Mm-hmm. So next day in school, Xander walking around, and some rando's like, hey, way to get dumped. So yeah, him and Cordelia were definitely more public than before.
Yeah.
He's looking for, some support. Buffy just blows him off. She's way too focused on Angel. Everyone's just sort of tittering at Xander, and he gets made fun of by the mean girls. They're like, maybe you should learn a second language so more girls can reject you. So everyone's just piling on. And this is literally the first time in the show's run I have felt genuinely bad for Xander, because everyone's kicking them when they're down. It's just low.
Yep.
And now everyone he could have turned to is embroiled in their own shit. Like even Willow, she's busy with Oz. Buffy's busy with it. Like nobody's got time for him. And he's like, oh, the teenage angst, how I do not miss it.
Yeah, my sympathy train is about to be derailed, though.
Oh, big time. It fucking goes right off the rails and into the lake.
As these episodes seem to do.
Yeah. Xander sees Amy and grabs her by the arm and just goes, you're a witch. Maybe I should rat you out. And then he proceeds to fucking blackmail her, so all sympathy for him just evaporates. And he enlists her to cast a love spell on Cordelia. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Xander. Like, you had me in your corner and now I'm not. I think my note here says, Jesus, fuck Xander now. Anyway, Amy's like, this is a bad idea. And he just goes, full on goes with the blackmail. The library, Buffy shows Giles the soon card and she demands more info so she can protect herself. So Giles better start making with the info.
What did you think of her use of the word honey? My ex-honey. Was this something that you heard in the 90s? Because I didn't, and I don't like it.
I don't remember it. I don't like it. I actually missed that. But yeah, it's not something I would have heard, I think, not my school anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So Cordelia tries to avoid Xander, and he asks for the fucking locket back, which is hilarious. Total scumbag move. And she's actually wearing it, but she has to make like she's taking it out of her locker, and she's not just taking it off. And she seems pretty sad, and then she's pretty cold to him. So the next scene is in the school at nighttime. It seems like they're doing this in a lab or something. And I'm like, geez, does nobody ever fucking lock this school at night? Like, geez.
They can't keep security around. They're killing them all.
Xander's shirtless with like a rune painted on him, and Amy's casting her spell to make Cordelia love him. And I just hate this whole thing. So the next day at school, Cordelia's back with her mean girl pack, and Xander sleazes over. He's sure the spell's going to work. Cordelia's like, what the fuck do you want? Like, she literally shoves him away like a stalker, which he is in this moment. Now, meanwhile, Giles is reading about Angel's evil dealings, and there's something about a puppy, and Buffy's like, skip that one.
How long have they been doing this? She literally walks into the library yesterday and goes, I need to be warned. And he goes, okay. And the next thing we see is he's still rifling through books telling her things. Have they been doing this all night?
Maybe. If only they'd taken a break and wandered by the fucking lab. That's probably how they got in. Hey, the door's unlocked. Xander wanders in. He's still moaning away. And Buffy is like, let's do something tonight. You know, it's hang out, just you and me. And then Xander ruins it immediately by asking about lap dancing. And like, I'm now mad that I felt sorry for him. And it's like, all right, we see what happens here. The spell has definitely misfired because Buffy's all hot and bothered too much. Like, I understand that maybe in the, like that scene in the last episode where it looked like Buffy was warming to him. I'm like, okay, maybe that's what's happening here. They're building on it more, but it becomes very clear very quickly that she's acting very out of character with herself. My note says, gross, the dirt is not coming off. And it's a kiss seems imminent, but Amy comes in and needs to talk to them. I don't think the spell worked. Oh, that's no biggie. Now Amy seems interested in him and saying the same thing Buffy did, like verbatim, like she says the exact same thing. And oh, here's another cute blonde interested in him. Like, oh, be careful what you wish for. Now this next scene blew my mind because I assume it was Xander's bedroom, and Willow's waiting in bed like she's only wearing like a shirt, and I'm like, what the fuck? I hate this episode. I actually wrote this in caps.
This is why I needed the bowl, because I remembered that this scene was going to happen.
Yeah, this is full on. She's like, she wants him to be her first, and she's there half naked. So Xander talks about the spell. He admits that, but Willow, they're not hearing it. They're just not hearing it at all. The spell's too powerful.
Nope.
I was actually trying to place who the superheroes on the wall poster were, but I didn't recognize them. So unless they had it specially done for the episode, or it's just some Image comic, I don't remember. I have no idea. But I was like, is that the X-Men or something from Image? But I couldn't quite place it.
It did say X-Men on it in the bottom corner of one of the prints. The main one that was right next to his bed said X-Men in the bottom corner, but I didn't really look at who the characters were that were in it.
Yeah, no one leapt out on it at me. Like, I know I recognize 90s X-Men in a drop of a hat, but maybe I was thinking maybe they mocked something up to use for it to avoid copyright. Anyway, I think my video quality wasn't super sharp either, so I didn't spend too much time looking at it, but I didn't recognize anybody.
Maybe it was X-Man.
There was a comic called X-Man in the 90s. It was an Age of Apocalypse. It was about alternate universe Cable. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So Willow's on him like a cheap suit. She's all over him. But Xander's in full retreat. He's like, I don't want it this way. Says, you should go to Oz. And then she fucking bites his ears. And then I went to the laundry room and I poured bleach in my eyes. And he runs away to hide.
Did you notice what was on his door? It was a big sign that said hazardous waste area. I was like, well, if that's not the most accurate thing that I want to get for Victor's door, I don't know what is.
Thanks for the birthday present, Mom. At school, when this scene opens, there's like this wild background fiddle music that carried over from when Xander ran away. It just seemed to fit. I don't know why. So Cordelia's mean girl pack is turning on her, but this time for dumping Xander. How could you be so mean to him? So the tables have really turned.
Catherine in the trophy is watching this in the hallway. We're in that hallway right now. I'm tracking her. I'm keeping an eye on her. So she's watching this weird thing flip. She's like, what's happening now?
It's her only entertainment.
Yep.
Xander enters and he's full of magical charisma, and I'm hating every second of it. I was prepared for him to be all arrogant, like, a Spider-Man 3 when Peter Parker goes all goth and creepy, doing finger. I was fully expecting that. Didn't really happen. He just seems to be scared of his charisma at this point. But even the guys are looking at him, and I was like, oh my God, is this affecting everybody? Like, I'd be watching out for Larry if I were him.
They're more looking at him because they're jealous of him, because they definitely have more faces of anger, it seems, because all of their girlfriends are probably dumping them right now.
Yeah. So that became obvious very quickly that wasn't the case, but I was like, holy jeez, all the guys are going to be trying to fuck him too. And if this was happening to any guy not in a TV show, they'd be getting their fuck on left and right, and they'd probably have fucking crabs and gonorrhea by the end of the week. So he retreats to the library and he confesses the spell to Giles. It doesn't seem to affect man I realize at this point, because Giles macking on Xander would see me quit this watch through project right now. That would be it for me.
It would have been that for me too, don't worry. That would have been my line.
The calendar comes in and she's not as swoony right away as the other girls, but she compliments him on his shirt and she starts rubbing his arm. So as soon as he's around him, it really starts taking effect. Giles physically pulls her away and then she's just getting hornier by the moment. And I'm like, this is so not right. Like, he's a student.
Yeah.
Giles drags Jenny out of the library and Xander barricades himself in because Giles goes to do something. And the barricade's completely ineffective because the door swings the other way, which I loved. And he only barricades one of the doors. Yeah, good job.
Yeah, his brain cell that was in charge of making the plan must still be recharging because he did not think this part of the plan through.
All the blood's in his wiener right now. He used like the Dewey Decimal System rack to block the one door it swings out. All right, now this is where it gets really creepy. Buffy enters and she looks like she's on a porn shoot. I felt like I was breaking some kind of law, like Buffy's like even looking at her because she's like, it's like she's on the verge of stripping or something.
Well, she had just a raincoat. How the hell did she get to school like that? How did she walk through the school looking like that?
I assume there's a trench coat or something that came off. I don't know. Xander retreats and says he can't do this because of the spell. But again, Buffy, she's not hearing the reason for what's going on, but more importantly, she's not taking the rejection well. She's getting mad. Now here's Amy to fight for his affections, and Xander, tell her you're mine. And then she punches Amy out, and it's probably good she didn't kill Amy with that shit, because, with her strength, she could have snapped her neck. No problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But Amy calls in her magic, and they spend a few bucks on some special effects, and Buffy's transformed into a rat. I thought she just vanished or something, but a rat comes out of the fucking negligee or whatever the fuck she was wearing. Now Calendar is jealous and confronts Amy and grabs Xander, and Amy tries to cast more magic, but Xander stops her at this one. And it just gets more chaotic as we go here. Cordelia is being confronted by the mean girls and they actually start fucking slapping her around like they're physically, physically attacking her. Poor Giles. This is the poor guy I was feeling bad for this episode. He's trying to keep it all together. We have to catch Buffy the rat, a sentence I never thought I would hear. Just as Xander's about to catch the Buffy rat, Oz shows up and punches Xander the fuck out. And it's like, I liked Oz before, now I really like him. I'm like, Xander, you better watch out next full moon, buddy. So Oz was on the phone with Willow, who was crying about Xander all night. But being the good guy he is, he still helped Xander to defeat. He gave him his punch, and that was the end of it, kind of thing. So then he's clued in about Buffy and all that.
Amy turned Buffy into a rat. Oh.
He's good at taking things in stride. Finds that he's a werewolf. Finds out Buffy's been polymorphed into a rat. Okay, he rolls with it. This is the funny part, because Giles basically tells Xander to fuck off home, and his tone brooks no argument. It's a real get the fuck out of my sight. He actually says, get the fuck, get out of my sight.
Get out of my sight.
Honestly, at this point, I write in my notes, I don't know if Xander's going to recover. In my eyes, like, this whole thing is some real dirty pull just so he could, keep getting his makeout sessions. It's just so greasy.
Yeah, and so now we have the second time this evening that one of the characters did his best impression of a disappointed dad.
Out in the hallway, there's a full fucking melee amongst the girls. It's like a royal rumble out here, and they try to tear Xander apart like a rock star, and I'm like, yes, tear him to pieces. And he scoops Cordelia up, and he runs off with her. So the locket spell backfired and somehow protected Cordelia. She's not affected. Amy and Jenny spar, and Giles says, instead of making me ill, why don't you help me? Like, Giles is just going through it in this episode. He's angry as shit, and I'm here for it. And Jenny slips off. Okay. Every time I think this episode won't get crazier, it does. And you know what's coming here. Outside, Xander is confronted by a mob of girls and an axe-wielding Willow. I'm like, yes, kill him. But they do make a point of mentioning this later in the episode. Willow is arguably being affected the worst by all this because due to actual feelings for her, so they're now magnified 1,000,000 times over. And girls that wouldn't give them the time of day are feeling it, so imagine what she's going through. And she goes at him with the axe, but then the Royal Rumble of high school girls turns into a big fucking free-for-all. I can't believe no one caught that axe in the face.
No, Harmony and Willow start fighting off screen with the axe. Like they flip each other over and they just disappear out of the screen. And I'm like, whoa, can we watch what happens over there? Because that's going to be hilarious.
You could check the next episode for any students that got stitches on their forehead or something. So meanwhile, Oz follows Buffy the Rat to the basement where apparently a black cat lives.
Who's this, Mrs. Norris? Like, what is this cat doing here? Is that a student?
Yeah, really. Like, it's just... Never mind.
I have no further questions.
No further questions at this time. So we're in the street in the next scene, and it's nighttime, which means Xander and Cordelia have been on the run for hours because it was daytime in the school. So they've been running around they missed their supper probably. They've been running in the streets for hours. So they go to Buffy's to take refuge, and they completely barge in on Joyce. And she's like, why are you all scratched up? And it took me a second to clue in. Oh, fuck. Joyce, too. I was like, for some reason, I don't know. I thought it might only, go for the high school girls, but then Jenny Calendar. But I'm like, oh, God, now Buffy's mom's going to try to fuck Xander. She starts, massaging him, and I'm like, watching this in my office. I feel like I'm covered in spiders at this point. Anyway, Joyce is like, Cordelia, scram. And and Cordelia locks Joyce out of her own house. Keep your mom-aged mitts off my former boyfriend. The only person who gets good one-liners other than Buffy is Cordelia, I swear. Willow gets the occasional. Cordelia gets some good ones.
Yeah.
Cordelia says, the only way you can get girls to like you is witchcraft. As usual, Cordelia hits the nail right on the head.
She's so good at it.
Joyce starts breaking in like Night of the Horny Dead. And I'm like, Xander's going to die by crushed pelvis. I'm like, isn't this how you wanted to go?
Let Joycey in.
Death by snoo. So they take refuge in Buffy's room, but of course the window's wide open, and it's vampire face Angel, who's probably just been hanging around there. He just pops in, grabs him by the shirt, and pulls him out the window.
He is the Gorch of this episode, because you almost forget about his plot entirely, and then you're like, crap, there he is.
They did that to us in the last one, too. You forget about it. We were looking for werewolves, and then, oh, yeah, right, there's Angel lurking around.
Yeah.
And he wants to know where Buffy is, and he literally throws Xander off the roof, and, Xander should have broken some ribs or a collarbone or an arm or something. He's just thrown off a second story.
Yep.
So in school basement, Buffy the Rat's still on the run. And I'm like, my note here is, this isn't the last time Seth Green will be involved in a rat race. See what I did there? I still have that on VHS somewhere. Buffy's on the front lawn. Xander tries to knee Angel in the nuts, and he basically gets backflipped for his trouble. You ever wonder what the neighbors are thinking? Like, is there people fighting on the lawn again over there? I always forget that their last name is Summers, right? It's Buffy Summers? Yeah, because I never really think what the last name is. What's going on in the Summers lawn over there again? Jesus Christ, those teenagers. And I should have seen this coming. I didn't. Vampire face Drusilla shows up, and she's affected too. Like I said, it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier.
My favorite thing about this scene is Angelus during this entire scene. He's like, what?
He's flabbergasted.
So confused right now, and I enjoyed that complete confusion because usually he would be in on it, but now
it's like, what the fuck? Anyway, Drusilla throws Angel off Xander and defends him, and Angel says, I guess I really did drive you crazy. What a thing to say. Drusilla's about to bite Xander, and then the mob of angry and horny girls shows up. Willow's still got her axe. I'm pretty sure I definitely did see, I confirmed it a little bit later, the fucking lunch lady's there trying to get a piece of the action. She's got a rolling pin in her hand, which is hilarious.
I had a note about her earlier, but I forgot to mention it.
Fucking lunch lady Doris is trying to get some too. Cordelia pulls him inside the house. Drusilla knocks the door down, but can't enter. Vampire rules. She bounces off. It's funny. It's like Angel knew.
Didn't say the magic word.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if it applies because Xander reached into the window to grab. Angel reached into the window to grab Xander, and so he didn't come all the way in. But because he's evil again, does the invitation? I think we've been through this. Does he still get to come in, or is he kind of a different person now, and he has to be reinvited? That's an interesting question to me.
Yeah.
All right, so there's women everywhere. Joyce has a big butcher knife. It's just pandemonium at this point. It must have been fun to film. They're all these actors just all fucking going crazy and acting nuts.
Taking out probably genuine frustration against Nicholas Brendan.
You just wonder if anyone was stuck in a kidney punch or something. Ow, someone hit me. So Xander and Cordelia are barricaded in the basement. And please tell me you noticed this too. The door is the wrong way again. He's nailing boards on it and the door opens the other way. But, they're going with it, just pretending it's shut. All right.
Yep, back where it all started.
Yep. Xander actually tries to shift the blame to Cordelia. And he's like, well, if you hadn't have dumped me. And I'm like, a way wrong answer in this moment, pal. So Cordelia learns the spell was meant for her just as Joyce shoves her butcher knife through the door. Here's Johnny.
How is that romantic? Like, swelling music started as she realized it. And she was like, wait, you were going to cast a spell on me to remove my will so you could humiliate me? Take me back.
Ugh, there's so much wrong with this episode.
Yep.
So at the school, Giles and Amy undo the polymorph spell, and Buffy is reverted to human in the basement while Oz is looking around. I'm having a slight case of nudity here, but he goes to get her some clothes. It makes me wonder if Oz can access any hyper senses, like a sense of smell or anything. Does he get any side bonus werewolf powers? Because that would be pretty handy, like see in the dark or something. That would be cool.
Because imagine if he was like, "Ooh, I caught a rat," and he brings it back and it's a wrong rat. Like it's just, it doesn't move or anything. And then Buffy's like somewhere off, like fighting off a cat or something. But he's just like, "Oh, that sucks."
This is like the bit of werewolf takes over and he finds the rat and he's like, so why did I do that? So at Buffy, Xander is about to be torn to pieces next to the water heater when Giles and Amy reverse the spell at last. And they have, like I said, they paid for some special effects. They got some magical effects going. It actually looked pretty good. When the girls all come to their senses and they're going, where am I and stuff, at least one girl said, ew. I caught an ew.
I missed that entirely.
Oh, I know. That's the first thing I heard. Cordelia says, that was the best scavenger hunt ever. And I guess they're all open to suggestion because apparently everyone just accepts that for why they're all there.
It's better than what actually happened.
Honestly, yeah. It's a pleasant fiction compared to the reality.
Yep.
And now back at school, Buffy thinks she should probably start worrying about the level to which Joyce is repressing the shit she has been a party to. Like, that shit's in her memory somewhere. Like, if that all comes out, it's just... That one in particular, I mean, I'd be traumatized enough with, be the whole egg situation, but now, I tried to fuck Xander. Oh my God, we have to move.
Because as Buffy establishes in the scene, they remember what they did and said.
Right, yeah, so everyone's just accepting the lie.
And Willow's not even talking to him, so...
Xander's back to his usual self again, which is to say unpopular as fuck. Yeah, Willow won't talk to him. Buffy brings up how hard it was for Willow, which... We could have, we could infer that from the feelings and be magnified. But she does remember that he did not take advantage of her, which scores absolutely no points with me in this episode. Absolutely none. This whole thing was gross. Mm-hmm. Cordelia's back with her mean girls and then bumps into Xander and he just gets scorched by Harmony. But Cordelia stands up to her. I did like the scene. Calls her a sheep. And I'll date whoever I want to date, no matter how lame he is. And kind of wipes Xander's smile off a little bit. But I do like the stand Cordelia said here. That it's just to be yourself and be with who you dig. So I did like that, putting the mean girls in their place. It's like a moment where she's like, oh God, what have I done?
And I do appreciate Xander's offer for them to fight more when they're in proximity of the mean girls.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be too difficult. They go off arm in arm, so if they weren't public before, they certainly are now. And then the episode ends. So prediction wasn't too far off. There was some witchcraft involved and people went nuts. And conclusion, this is by far the episode I've hated the most, and Xander is gross. The end.
So babe, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Are we still dating?
Yes.
Okay, cool, thanks. I just needed to make sure, because if any episode was a relationship test, this would be it.
Oh, I felt like a dirty old man, like Buffy, and the Buffy comes in looking all sexy. I'm like, oh, this is not right. Like, I'm too old to be looking at this. Like, this is not cool.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, Yeah, Xander. I don't know if he's gonna recover in my eyes. Like, what's he did? I know he's a young, stupid guy, but it was so gross. And I don't know. Xander, you got a long road to redemption in my eyes, buddy. A long road.
Yeah.
Just so everyone out there knows, I did not cast a spell on Reigna. She actually does like me.
It's true. It's true.
Wait, did you cast one on me?
No, I do not. I ask first before those things get done. It's called consent.
Yeah, look into it, Xander.
Buffyverse.
So, okay, like there was stuff about this episode that was funny. You know, we got to see some cool witchy effects, and I got to see Giles get pissed off. I always like seeing Giles get pissed off. When Giles has had enough and he doesn't even get animated. His tone just gets like, get out of my sight. Like, I like that Giles. The Giles who's just had enough of your shit.
Yeah.
Love that. So yeah, like there's parts about this episode I like, but overall, gross episode, not one of my favorites. It's so far the least favorite one we've come across. So yeah.
Yep, I'm happy that we're through this.
And I feel like going into the next couple episodes is the Willow Xander dynamic. If they do seem to remember and carry over a lot of things that happened in previous episodes to affect new ones. So I feel like there's going to be some very much space between Willow and Xander for a while. And I'm curious to see if, because Buffy sort of comes to Xander's defense at the end. She's still talking to him and stuff, and says, "Oh, you're a good guy for not fucking me when you could have," kind of thing. But like, yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to keep playing into the Buffy warming up to him kind of thing, or if that got killed in the crib kind of thing with this whole ordeal. Anyway, I can sum up this episode with one word. Ew!